So friends, today we will talk about what spirituality really is, and how spirituality, along with the concepts of dogmas and stereotypes, can sometimes make our lives not clearer and easier, but rather more confusing and heavier. This broadcast is truly suitable for anyone who has ever been interested in the topic of spirituality. It doesn't matter whether you are a newcomer in this field, or if you think that spirituality is some kind of schizophrenia, that it's just crazy people. This broadcast can be shown to absolutely anyone who has never been interested in this topic, because I will explain from a scientific perspective, from the standpoint of what can be tested and proven. And today we will review it, literally. Let's take a deep look at how stereotypes about spirituality now, and the so-called new spirituality, when the same concepts of religion simply flow over. In some of the new religions like New Age and so on, how they can sometimes hinder us from perceiving this reality more clearly and soberly. In the last few days, I have experienced a very deep transformation. When the higher powers and my higher self immersed me in deep inner work, so that I could truly feel from within what it is. Old stereotypes, spirituality, and how old stereotypes of spirituality. They literally create a kind of barrier, preventing us from reaching a new level of consciousness. I myself have immersed in these old stereotypes of spirituality, and then emerged from them only to dive back in again. My background is that since I was 12, I attended the church and the Russian Orthodox Church, studying it, and all the dogmas that exist there, which shaped a certain worldview for me. And after that, this worldview changed because it adapted to a scientific understanding as I went through higher education in biochemistry and obtained knowledge about the structures of molecules, how they interact with each other. And after I graduated from the institute, I began to study psychology more deeply, to study energy, bioenergetics, and delve into the structure of what's happening, because I always want to explain everything. And also to explain what super abilities are, what human super potentials are. These all inexplicable phenomena that lie between the inexplicable and the unknowable on one side, and the scientific evidence-based on the other. It's time to bring these together. Because, of course, you can look at various spiritual teachings, books, messages, and listen to channelings. But it is important for us as people and for our brain that between bunti concepts, some of them, a clear, practical, applicable structure was built based on our ideals, which allows us to change our lives and alter the reality around us. I am initiating this now. After the retreat, I will be going on a retreat. After the retreat, I will initiate a whole series of spiritually enlightening lectures that will be available to you for free. You don't have to pay for anything, and you don't need to subscribe to anything extra. Just subscribe to this channel, to my main YouTube channel, and that's it. Just wait for the next live stream. I will be giving them in turns. For example, 1 week we will work with extraterrestrial civilizations, asking them questions, and then the next week we will work with a lecture that focuses on spiritual transformations. We are accepting channeling another week. We are working with a lecture that concerns spiritual transformations. So, if you really want to make some deep inner progress for yourself right now, get ready, because your worldview might completely change. I will be saying things that will turn your consciousness upside down. And I must warn you right away and say that what I will be sharing with you is not the ultimate truth. Truth can only be known through oneself, through God, within oneself. Through other people, we can only know a certain perspective on this truth, a point of perception. And each of you has your own template, your own worldview, your own perception of the world. And some people experience this moment when they hear something that sharply changes their worldview template, and they become a little scared. And because of this fear, they sometimes react aggressively in an attempt to defend their point of view. I have seen this when they start asking me questions about spiritual topics and receive answers that they weren't expecting. They experience some kind of internal dissonance. They begin to express aggression in response to protect their internal interests. And that's okay, so relax. Just trust yourself and the space around you, and as you listen to me, changes will happen in your structure and in your understanding of personality and the universe. My goal here is just one. Right now, I will act as a guide for you, putting everything in its place, because we have these concepts of spirituality that have existed, the higher powers. I was told that a paradigm shift has now occurred. In 2025, right now, in 2025, there will be a complete transformation of the paradigm of perceiving spiritual esoteric knowledge. So now we are removing it from them. This, is what they call the schizophrenic aura. We are removing it, and now we are starting to understand the connection between physics, realities, and those concepts that we use to consider spirituality. You might find some paper and pens useful, and maybe even some notebooks. Get ready, and we're starting. I will, throughout our broadcast today, also address you and ask you questions, because it's important for you to actively participate and maybe even answer these questions for yourself and to write them here in the chat. So, let's start with the first and probably the most important thing. So what do you know about the quantum leap? I know that I've talked a lot about this, and it was a long time ago, about 2 years ago. After my return from the retreat, I will do a series of these lectures again for free without any requirements to pay for anything, just purely from the heart, as long as there is an understanding of how this works. There will be a series of open lectures right here, directly on the YouTube channel, where I will explain everything, how it happens. But first, let's start with the concept of spirituality. So, what do you mean by spirituality? Someone here writes, I feel something sad. And yes, indeed, what about people? What does the concept of spirituality give? Let's consider it from the perspective of an ordinary person, including how I used to understand it for myself. After the Christian game, The Mountain, I have come to understand spirituality as striving for some ideal, for a certain perfection that hangs out there somewhere. And some wise or enlightened people know what that perfection should be like. They know what needs to be right and what exists as if. Such a difference. Before they said these are sinners and these are saints. And now it's served under a different sauce, and they say, these, for example, are high vibration people, and these are low vibration people. These are conscious, and these are sleeping, unconscious. These are the awakened ones, and these are not. These are 3D, and those are in 5D. Have you ever heard phrases like that? Let's dive deeper into them. Let's break it down. I want to make a small remark that yes, some of my words may contradict the information you hear elsewhere. And in the previous broadcast, some people misunderstood me. They understood me when I talked about the keys to distinguishing information on the internet. Because I didn't call anyone by name or speak. These are the bad ones. Those are the bad ones. I condemn these. I criticize them. I only have information and keys for understanding for you. How you choose to use them is up to you. I am in no way insisting that my point of view is the only truly correct one. You need to become so aware right now and gain so much important knowledge that will allow you to distinguish all of this on your own. I have no goals to act against anyone or for anyone. So I'm just giving you some information. You ask questions and I answer. How you will work with this depends on you. So I really appreciate and respect everyone who is in the esoteric space, other bloggers, other contactees. And I believe that any person, no matter what information they convey, is important and valuable. And every person, every contactee is not divided into good and bad, kind or evil, from the dark or from the light. He is broadcasting. Personally, I believe that in every person, even if they are just making things up and fantasizing, even if they are trying to deceive someone, there is something valuable and useful that you can extract for yourself. And my message has always been, when I talk to you about the keys to recognition, it comes down to just one thing. So that you learn to separate the wheat from the chaff and extract benefits from every piece of information you study. This doesn't mean that you only watch me and don't watch anyone else on the internet, but I'm the best. Yes, please, watch whatever you want. Only one thing is important. Choose what is good for you, what that inspires you, that expands your consciousness. From absolutely any source of information, even if they are saying complete nonsense, complete craziness, you can still find a grain of wisdom for yourself. Because wisdom is not when someone tells it and broadcasts it. Wisdom is when you become a wise person and are able to extract wisdom. Even from something, for example, a foolishly expressed, incorrect word. From this, you are able to extract wisdom. So, you are the wise ones. You are wise, you are aware, you are enlightened. And this is my message. So this is where we start, to make sure no one feels offended. And so you don't think that when I talk about the old concept of spirituality, I'm saying it's outdated. So you don't think that I mean that only I know how it should be. Yes, of course, there are books. I can recommend, for example, Vadim Zeland's Transurfing Reality. Please start with the first books. Study. This is about the new era. That's exactly what isn't there. This kind of distorted old terminology. We are now going to move on to the new terminology, because the old terminology of spirituality, it has grown out of, and the old concepts of spirituality and old thinking. And since it's still active, it still triggers those old programs, spinning the person along the way. This wheel of samsara, when you try to become better, faster, stronger, more beautiful, and so on, losing the essence of who you are. You keep trying, striving to fit into some kind of spiritual ideal. But at the same time, it seems like life becomes even more unhappy because of this. Have you ever noticed this about yourself? Have you ever noticed that your life, the more knowledge you gain, the more information you receive about spirituality, it seems to get more complicated, as if a multitude of different rules appear, as if a lot of different recommendations come up. Eat this, don't eat that, go here, don't go there, this is good, this is bad, this is allowed, this is not allowed. Every religion, if you look at it, has some religious dogmas, right? These religious dogmas are based on what? Worldviews. And this is very important right now. Write it down for yourself if you have notebooks. Worldview, what is it? Right now, each of you has your own matrix in your head. That's what they say. You know, we live in a matrix. The matrix controls us. And actually, the matrix doesn't mean what you think. Yes, I want to say that essentially all the people on the internet, whether they are contactees, esotericists, or not esotericists, are saying something. They all say something of their own, and at their own level they are right. Each of them has their own truth. And from each person you can extract some benefit. So, don't think that I'm against everyone and that I'm the only good one. Look, in every source of information, there's some kind of worldview stored, the picture of perception. And each person, each contactee, each of you has your own picture of perception. When we, the contactees, including myself, receive some information from above, from the subtle plane, or we see through clairvoyance, everyone filters things through their own worldview. Information doesn't reach us in the true light of our mind. As it passes through the mind, it goes through the depths of our individual perception, which is shaped by all our knowledge, breadth, and thoughts. So, people who are used to perceiving the world through a certain paradigm will always interpret information specifically through that paradigm. For example, doctors will see everything through the lens of diseases. Psychologists will see everything through psychology. For example, I, as someone who has deeply studied chemistry, biology, biochemistry, and physics, try to translate everything and explain it from the perspective of physics. In other words, I work every day on expanding my worldview and ensuring that it is complete. Every day I I study something new so that the information coming to me from above can be interpreted as accurately as possible. Again, it is impossible to convey the whole truth 100% because it still passes through our understanding. So I work on filtering it as much as possible and making it pure. And now they showed me literally what. There was a period in the past when I felt like I had hit a dead end. That is, I reached such a dead end when it seemed to me old programs start to kick in saying, Ayura, you need to be like this. And so I need to lead this kind of lifestyle. I have to do this and that. And this word must, it started to attack me constantly. I think, oh my God, where is this coming from? I've already worked through all of this. How much more do I have to deal with it? Have you noticed that you have this word? Must and should. Is it also present? Right now you can do a little self-diagnosis. How much are we going to change the paradigm of spirituality right now? Identify if you have the word must in your understanding. We have to be right. You have to eat well properly. For example, someone says you must not eat meat to be spiritual, otherwise you're not spiritual. You have to, what else do you have to do? You have to meditate. You have to do yoga. You have to, or the word cannot, for example. You must not swear. You must not swear. You must not express anger. You must not. So right now, take some paper and pens, since this is a practical lecture. I love practice because I started my work by teaching chemistry for such children who they were failing students and other teachers wouldn't take them on. I took them on and said, anyone can pass the chemistry exam. Now we will all learn it together. And we even went through this chemistry, which it would seem is the most difficult subject in school, in detail, and my children passed it. And it brought me immense joy. So now consider this a lesson for us. Please take some paper and pens and write down what in your life you feel you must do. You have to. What did you tell yourself that you must do? You have to be like this. Or for example, you have to make everyone like you. You have to be loved. Today, for example, is a special holiday, International Women's Day, and I want to congratulate you on March 8th. I have a gift for you in my Telegram channel. I'll show it to you right now. I drew an energy mandala today. Here it is not fully presented. You can scan the QR code in the link in the description. You can download it completely free of charge from my Telegram channel. This is not a bait or some kind of trap, it's completely free. Here is the link to download in good quality. There are 50 gigabytes of megabytes it weighs to print and uses what it emits energy. Look for yourself. She studies energy. What kind of energy? Who has sensitivity? So tell me right now, what kind of energy does it emit? Write down what kind of energy it is. What do you feel from it? Write to me later, and I'll tell you what kind of energy it radiates and why I drew it that way. This is my gift to you. People say, yes, we need to love. Yes, we need to love others. And so this need, yes, where does it come from? Why do we need to? What is this, right? This is love. But what if I tell you that there is such a commandment? By the way, the commandments aren't really about some dogmas. It's just, we don't understand them. We misunderstand them. There is such a commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. And people generally think that they need to love their neighbor in the context of loving their relatives or neighbors or husband or wife or sister. But they forget the most important essence that is said here. Love yourself. And it says love yourself first and then your neighbor, right? So love your neighbor as yourself. If we take ourselves out of this, then it turns out that if you don't love yourself, you won't be able to love your neighbor either. Exactly the same here. What does this mandala tell us? It transmits energy to us. Love yourself. And right now, I'm going to tell you something. Just don't cry, I beg you. Imagine you've lived your whole life and maybe you had one day a year, some kind of holiday like International Women's Day on March 8th, or maybe your birthday, when people were around you, giving you love, giving you attention, bringing you flowers. Yes, some might live alone and there's no one to come and bring flowers or do something for you. But I want to ask you, why? Why? Dear friends and dear ladies, do you need a reason to allow the world to love you? Do you really think that love is only when the people around you start bustling about, bringing you candies, bringing you chocolate, or giving you a bouquet of flowers, or calling you to say happy holidays, or cooking dinner for you? Why do you think this is love? That's how it should manifest towards you. Why do you think you can't allow yourself to love just like that on any day? Now let me offer you a magical thought. Just close your eyes right now and think. Tune into yourself and ask yourself, right inside yourself, honestly, sincerely ask, truly. Say your name, address yourself mentally inside. And ask why? March 8th. Could be every day. So why is every day a birthday? Why can I allow myself to be loved right now? Every day? Why can I allow myself every day right now? March 8th. Notice how I phrase this question. Can I allow myself this, and why can I? And now open your eyes and look. We are with you. We live our whole lives in a paradigm of certain illusions, including spirituality. You need to love yourself. You need to work on yourself. You need to work on your mouth. You need to do this and that. But look, you can love yourself. What's stopping you? Some people say, yes, I'm lonely. I have no one. No one came to me. No one congratulated me. Ah, what a cruel world. There are no people around me who love me. You have the most precious person who is always with you, and that is you, first and foremost. So no one is stopping you from putting candles on the table, preparing yourself a nice, delicious, festive dinner. Have a glass of juice or wine if you prefer. And just enjoy the fact that you can allow yourself to take care of yourself. After all, many people, moms, grandmas, aunts, and even girls say, I do everything for them, everything for the kids, everything for the grandkids, everything for my husband, everything for someone else. But what about for myself? And we try so hard to earn love from someone that it feels like we need to have some kind of permission to love. Can you imagine? So what permission do you need to get in order to love? Have you been able to accept it? Well, for some, that permission comes in the form of a holiday. Today is a holiday. Today it's allowed. But why isn't every day a holiday? Why can't every day be a holiday? Make every day a celebration for yourself, or at least once a week. Cook yourself a wonderful dinner, light some candles, put on some great music, buy yourself a bouquet of flowers, pick some petals, sprinkle rose petals in the bath, pour in 5 liters of milk, or whatever you want. Add some salt, put in some essential oils, and then lie back in that bath and play beautiful music and say, the world is for me. I can allow myself to take care of myself, to accept myself, to love myself. And it doesn't matter how you look, how much you weigh, or what you have, there's nothing extra about you. The physical body may have its own peculiarities, but that doesn't matter, because the soul is immortal, eternal, and most importantly, that is its state. Because from this joy, from this state, unity with God is born, with His original essence in the form of love. This is what we will approach. That was such a lyrical, gentle digression that we needed in order to understand what happens next. Now our lecture will be structured in this way. I will tell you about the basic concept of physical perception of the world that I have, and I will explain why there is a difference between the real concept of perception, which scientifically more or less adapts to scientific justification and the concept of reality, in which humanity gets stuck through the paradigms of spirituality. You have already written that I should, that I need to, that I must. You wrote down phrases like I must and I am obligated. You mean, so you've gotten used to limiting yourself, confining yourself to certain boundaries? This is bad, this is good. It's like there's some kind of whip behind you, constantly pushing you along. Just imagine a situation like this. You learn from, for example, me or Yuri or someone else that there is some higher self, high vibrations, low vibrations. And you decided very clearly to become the right person. Write down the phrase right person for yourself right now, circle it boldly, and then cross it out. Because I now give you permission to stop being right. If you try to achieve the path of evolution in this way, as it was accepted, as it has been accepted, for example, over the last several thousand years, then you will not achieve anything because people have been meditating for a very long time, have been practicing for a very long time, have tried to adjust themselves to the ideal. Not reaching it, they became disappointed, fell into setbacks, into feelings of guilt, thinking that they are bad, not good enough, and so on. And in the end, they stopped. Because this mythical ideal is unattainable. Look, for example, at how this is arranged in Christianity. We go to church, and again, I don't want to offend anyone or touch on sensitive topics. I have nothing against anyone going to church praying. That's your right. That's fine, as long as it helps you. And don't say later that I'm against the church, against believers. That's not the case at all. But we are examining it specifically from the perspective of the mind's misconceptions. Just imagine, yes, a person who goes and perceives God not as something that loves him. I know from my own experience when I went to church, I looked at the icons, looked at God, at Jesus, and I felt, what kind of feeling inside. Not love, but first of all, shame and fear. So it's scary. You come to church and feel not inspiration and encouragement, but shame and fear. I felt that way. Because the feeling, even though I was around 13, 14 years old, I already saw what the puberty period is, what attraction is, what sexual attraction is, what those thoughts in your head are that keep spinning constantly because of hormones. And it is clearly written there. What is this? In any case, when committing adultery, it is a sin, you will burn in hell, suffer in ordeals, and it is explained that it is as if you do it once and that's it. Consider yourself already a sinner in hell, and it doesn't matter how many good deeds you've done there. I would come to church, and I was ashamed to lift my eyes. I always looked at the floor. The only thing I asked for is, sorry, it feels like you're inherently, as they say, we are born into sin, into suffering, and so we die in sin. And so this paradigm of old beliefs, where does it start from? That any process of spiritual development, let's write it down now, yes? Any process of spiritual development begins from the point that we inherently, even without saying it, imply that we are a defect, imperfect, and somehow, flawed beings who must to please some higher power. We have to force ourselves and adjust ourselves through harsh, violent methods to make ourselves right. And so practically everywhere, both in religions and now in the modern New Age movement, where they talk about vibrations, not vibrations. So working through, not working through. Basically, it's all the same. They're talking about exactly the same thing. Oh, you cursed at someone over there. That's it. Your energy got polluted. You need to cleanse yourself. Come now, we'll clean you up. And all of this again speaks about what? A person did some action, and instead of to understand why he did it, he starts to feel guilty. And when a person has this internal template, this idea of spiritual and righteous people, I need to be just like them. You look at someone like Fidi or Yuri and you think, wow, he's so spiritual and righteous, he's doing all this, and I'll never reach that level. Do you ever have thoughts like that? I used to have those thoughts when I would watch some bloggers or gurus online like Sadhu's gurus or other bloggers. Even before I started my own YouTube channel, I was really afraid of speaking in public. And looking at them, I thought, oh my God, what a level of consciousness they have. I'll never be able to reach that. I'll never be able to get close to that level until at some point, I didn't have a break in this paradigm. I didn't realize that this spirituality that everyone strives for is actually an illusion created by a very secret thing that absolutely everyone has. I'll talk more about this secret thing later. Why is it secret? Because no one wants to see it in themselves. No one can recognize it in themselves just like that, and it is very difficult to transform because it always hides like a chameleon. I'll explain what this thing is a little later. But first, this image of spirituality, of ideality that I formed, started to me after the revelation and the shift in paradigm about what is unnecessary. This is all spirituality. It was imbued with some kind of religious awe, that it made me feel sick. So when I was watching it myself, even before I started broadcasting, I started to feel sick of all this religious awe because I saw that people don't think about nature, they don't try to understand it, they're just like that. With their mouths agape, they just watch and don't perceive, they don't take in perspectives but of analysis and building, some kind of the ladder of understanding. So I ask you, dear friends, don't believe anything you see from me. Don't do it. Faith is something that implies a refusal of responsibility. That is, if you try to believe just me in some religion or take my word for it, you are simply afraid to take responsibility for your life, for your destiny, because it is easier to trust someone. To the master guru who speaks, and this is very interesting, then to believe in yourself than to trust you. So is the sound okay? One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. It's much easier to believe someone else, to believe in certain religions, than to believe in yourself and your ability to influence your own fate. It's a kind of shifting of responsibility. I have a very big request for you, my friends. I don't need to believe, Veiki. I need to engage my brain and think, Nimbi, to try to understand, to break down everything I say in detail, so that it becomes not just my knowledge that Yuri is preaching to you and imposing certain paradigms, but so that it becomes your spiritual experience. An experience of knowledge. Like your deeper experience that you can carry with you into other incarnations. So faith is kind of an infantile approach. There's no need to cultivate it. It's a thing of the past. Faith is only necessary in yourself and nothing else, no one else. Faith only in your own abilities, which you didn't know about yet. But there's no need to believe in someone else's concepts, other people's ideas and ideals. My worldview improves every day. I change my worldview every day. I move forward every day. If in 10 years I say something different from today, and people later write, Yuri, but you said something completely different 3 years ago. How is that possible? Weren't you wrong there? Someone might, yes, write that in a few years. And I would simply respond to you that if I had been saying the same thing for decades without anything new, it would probably only mean one thing, that I have simply stopped in my development and understanding. But no matter how long I continue on this path, I realize that there are no depths, no limits to knowledge and perfection. And my worldview, it is constantly transforming, changing, and improving. And this change and improvement manifests at different levels. So I don't feel shy about it at all, and I think it's very important. If you understood that something is arranged differently, that some paradigm has changed. You shouldn't be afraid to tell people about it, to be afraid that they will blame you for changing your mind. On the contrary, it suggests that thinking, flexibility of thinking, is one of the most important, necessary for evolution qualities. If you have flexible thinking, if you can transform and change your perception of reality, constantly improving it, then you will definitely be able to do it for yourself, to do evolutionary conclusions from everything that is happening. That's normal. Your worldview should constantly evolve and change, reaching new understandings. So here, faith, spiritual stereotypes, and paradigms only hold you back. It only stops you from developing, so you shouldn't believe in anything. This is the first important thesis. Now, hey, we move on to the concept of physics. Let's look at the world not from the perspective of some stereotypes and patterns, but from the perspective of physics. Some people strive for spirituality and start talking about vibrations. They say there are high vibrations and low vibrations. And of course, people perceive their spiritual growth as a kind of process. When you seem to be rising in vibrations from the bottom up, and it seems, well, that's obvious, right? I'm rising in vibrations, I'm becoming so high vibrational. Let me sing you something now. Low vibrations. And now raising vibrations. And there, somewhere over there, there will be a squeal. They don't just take notes from me like that, do they? And this sound, it can even be unpleasant and ugly. Imagine that you've come to a concert, and there are many different musical instruments at the concert. In the new paradigm of spirituality, as it's commonly accepted, this is what the New Age says about high vibrational, low vibrational people. High vibrational, low vibrational, and emotions, including low vibrational, negative ones. Before bad, fear, anger, hatred, envy, and so on. Before they separate emotions and some high vibration, positive emotions, feelings, and so they say, go and rejoice in everything, like such fools, or everything is good and just try to experience a negative emotion. Oh, you've lowered your vibrations, you've become negative, you're in a bad mood, you're angry. Just forbid yourself to be angry. You can't be angry. These are bad vibrations, bad emotions, and a person, not understanding their emotions, feelings, and vibrations, just closes themselves off. Let's break down this moment. What is actually good and what is bad? Have you ever had this question? You can write it here now or in the comments. Have you ever felt this idea, this paradigm, and thought to yourself, really, how is that? We are going through our own evolution. We need to reach high vibrations. To make a quantum leap, we really need to strive hard to receive God's love, to receive the descent, angels. And others say that sex is a sin, that sex is low vibrations, that it's bad. Swearing, cursing, that's bad, dirty. Eating meat, that's low vibrations. There's the energy of death. That's bad, dirty. You should only be vegetarians. You should only be, I don't know, maybe observe celibacy. You should be some kind of completely devoid of any pleasures. People are just told to sit and control themselves. You can't be angry. You can't do anything. Just sit in your little hole. But that's the same thing that was said in all religions before. The same laws, the same stereotypes, absolutely the same humanity. Even those who say that we are engaged in esotericism, meditating, it's the same thing. They get stuck in the same paradigms, in the same stereotypes. There is a way out, and now we will see it together. And the way out will be through a concert hall. Imagine that. Let's go back to the concert hall. Can you imagine what an orchestra looks like? There are drums, for example, violins and cellos. Some kind of organ. And now imagine that there is a big tuba, right? Yes, there are For example, some flutes, and there are also some middle tones that are also achieved by different instruments and horns. Just imagine a huge amount comes out. Beautiful, beautiful performers. And you imagine you go there and say, I want to listen to only high vibrational sounds, only high vibrational music. And low vibrations, they are not spiritual, they are not divine, they are bad. And so a person comes in, right, and says, please remove the tuba from the stage. Remove the cellos from the stage. They have too low vibrations. They are bad. So the cellos gather and leave, the tuba gathers and leaves. Oh, the drums, they make such a sound. It's so bad, it's negative energy. Please remove it from the stage. And just imagine that only the crazy violins are left on stage, screeching like mad. And you just try to listen to, for example, some Mozart, where instead of composition, melody, and different harmonics, you only hear screeching, crazy screeching, and the shrieks of violins. Very high vibrational music, so high vibrational that it could make your ears bleed. I swear. So let's break down these stereotypes, because I don't want to tell you right now that you're so bad, wrong, that you have a bad lifestyle, that you really need to start. There is meat. No, friends, we will break this down deeper and in detail right now, and you will all understand and be able to ask me your questions. So, to start, when you come to the concert hall, we understand that everything happening here. So, when you are in the concert hall, if you've never been to a concert, I highly recommend it. Open some concert on YouTube and listen. Well, of course, it's better live, but listen to at least one if you want. I'll send you a concert in the Telegram channel where I sing in the choir. With the choir. I once sang for 5 years, and we also have concerts. I just stood there on stage with 30 other participants, and we sang various pieces, including Mozart. So when you're standing on stage or even in the audience and Mozart is supposed to be playing, and there, what's going on? The sounds are coming, low frequencies are coming, low vibrations are coming, high ones. And the harmonics are flowing, the compositions are coming. I always stood in the choir. Secondly, the basses. So I had the lowest vibrational voice in the choir. And I had the lowest bass. So this means that you can say that among all the 30 people in the choir, I had the lowest vibrational voice. This concept of vibration is taken from physics. Because what are vibrations? These are waves. And the concept of low vibrations refers to waves of low frequency. For us, this has become synonymous with good and evil, right and wrong, dark and light. But is it really like that? Let's dig even deeper. It's clear now that Mozart won't sound right without the whole palette of vibrations. And what does God essentially represent? God is like a conductor in an orchestra. He's just standing with his back to the audience, and we can't see him. We don't see this conductor, we don't see his face. But he stands with his back to us and just waves his baton. But without the conductor, the orchestra won't be able to play. The sections won't be able to synchronize with each other, and the conductor stands there and makes some movements waving his hands. He essentially does nothing. It seems so, right? He doesn't play himself, he doesn't produce any sounds. But thanks to him, harmony is born. So we live in a world, harmonies. And the most important thing is not to reach high vibrations, but to achieve harmony. When you press a key on the piano keyboard, you hear one sound. When you press 2 keys, you hear already the distance between the 2 sounds, you hear a kind of pair, and it creates a chord. And it can either be false or it can be beautiful, resonant, harmonious. If a person doesn't know how to play, they'll produce sounds that resemble stones falling down a mountain. And if he has learned to read these chords, he can play harmonies. Our life, the reason we are born, the reason we incarnate, is not to become perfect. Ideal little angels with wings on our backs and fly, farting rainbows and... I don't know how to poop hearts, but in order for us to become harmonious, we need to gain a full palette of awareness and the pursuit of spirituality. So once again, reinforce for yourself, you can draw or write down that the pursuit of ideality, the pursuit of perfection, the pursuit of heights is to raise vibrations to evolve upwards somewhere. This is a dead-end branch of evolution that doesn't lead to a positive outcome. Why? Because if you forbid half of the orchestra to sing, you'll only be listening to screeches. And those screeches won't sound beautiful and harmonious. A sound becomes divine when it encompasses the entire palette. When I sang in the choir, we practiced and trained for this very clearly. And our conductor, he always said soprano, quietly, and the soprano is the highest female voice, which can screech very loudly. And the male voice, the bass is quiet by nature, it can't sound loud. He goes like this, yes, and very quietly. And he always said, hear the basses. So if, for the choir, as an organism, to sing divinely, each person must hear all the parts in the choir. Just imagine that a choir exists inside you. Inside you, in fact, you are not alone. And these are not entities, they are controlling you. Inside you exists a whole choir and a whole orchestra. From what? From emotions, from feelings, from sensations. Somewhere inside you, there is an inner child, and somewhere inside you, there is an inner teacher. You literally split your consciousness, your soul into different little sub-personalities every day. And these sub-personalities are present inside you, and each of them is trying to shout something at you. Each of them is trying to get some of your attention. We split ourselves because why? Because we are not loved, because someone taught us that this is right, this is good, this is bad. And that's why your choir literally looks like this. The sopranos with high vibrations take up arms, approach the basses and say, basses, you are bad, we want to shut you down. They shut those basses away in some closet and say, we will sing without the basses. It's easier for us that way. In the end, the choir screeches out terrible, some kind of false sounds because you can't do without the basses. The basses are the foundation of the chord. A person suffers because of this. So, inside you, somewhere you have hidden and sealed away, like they say, cockroaches in your head or skeletons in the closet, you have sealed away something from yourself, some of your feelings, some of your emotions, some of your sub-personalities. They are lying there, locked away in the closet. They cry, they suffer. And in such moments, when a huge activation happens, the aliens say, the energy has struck, a powerful flash, now everyone will undergo transformation. People's closets start to open up on their own from the energy, and the inner selves run out from there. These, so to speak, your own deprived sub-personalities. And what do we say? Oh, you've been attacked by demons. Oh, you're having nightmares. That means you've been attacked by astral entities. Oh, you have destructive thoughts. You cursed at someone. And the person immediately goes, oh, I'm bad. That's it. I cursed at someone. Oh, I lost it. I couldn't hold back my emotions. I'm not spiritual now. Am I a spiritual person? Does a spiritual person act like that? Can a spiritual person act like this and like that? That's not true. That's it. I'm bad now. I need to work really hard and put in a lot of effort to achieve enlightenment or growth. Those masters, they are very good. They are right. So I need to copy them, imitate them to become just as right as they are. All of this is a dead-end branch of evolution, absolutely not leading to development. A mistaken path. Because it inevitably leads to what? To what I was talking about before. There is a certain structure inside us that hides very deeply. This structure is called pride. Pride. You might say, well, how can I have it? No, I don't have pride, no. I'm going to reveal a terrible secret to you now. And I'll say that every person, including me, you and any other masters spiritual guides, whoever you meet, all of them have a share of pride, fears, a bit of some anger, because these emotions, feelings, anger, fear, and so on, even the same pride, they are neither bad nor good. Each of them is only needed in certain situations. The problem is that if we take even a choir, imagine that the basses will sing when it's not their time. The parts can be different. Right now, the basses can sing, but at this moment, it's better to wait and be silent. Now another part is singing, it's soloing. And that's how harmony and divine sound are achieved in the choir. Only when everyone knows when it's their time to sing, if everyone acts like a fool, shouting at any moment, then it will be some kind of chaos. And so inside us, there is a choir. And if a person doesn't look inside themselves, there's chaos happening within them. And what does he do? He has chaos inside, with uncontrollable feelings, emotions, aggression, fear, pain, and so on. What does he want? He wants peace and harmony. He goes to those people who want to seem right. He finds ideals for himself to emulate. Divine other people to emulate. He starts trying to copy their behavior to become as perfect as they are. And they say, this is not allowed. Fear is not allowed, it's bad. Anger is not allowed, it's bad. This is not allowed, this is not allowed. Pride is not allowed, everything is bad, everything is not allowed. And what does a person do? Not understanding the root cause, he approaches his inner choir and says, shut up, slap yourself in the face, some part of you. Get it, shut up. Get it. And the person punishes himself, he orders it himself, he inflicts pain on himself. He simply punishes himself inside because he now thinks of himself as wrong. There he is. Suddenly he calculated and looked at what is right and how it should be done. And now you need to adjust yourself to this ideal. You know what this is like? Imagine that you baked cookies, but you actually just baked them. You just took a baking sheet and put the dough on it evenly, shoved it in the oven, and you ended up with a flat cookie, like a cutting board for vegetables, huge, like a baking sheet. And then you remembered that actually, oh no, you looked at what others are doing, and they make cookies in the shape of, for example, flowers. And you're like, oh my God, how nice. But I'm not feeling good. I also need to make them in flower shapes. You take the flower-shaped mold, and with all my diligently, with all your silly might, you try to press that mold into the already baked cookie. What do you get? The cookies are shortbread, delicious, and it instantly turns into a mess. So it just falls apart. Will you even get a single flower shape if you try to make it on the already baked cookie? But it's unlikely. That is, you are not trying to change the system from within, not to change the root cause, not at the moment. When the cookies are not yet baked, you just molded the dough and then made the mold. And you're trying to fit yourself into the mold? And it seems like it's right because you're trying to be external, imitating spiritual stereotypes through the manifestations of your life. And this holds you back. Why? Because that's when pride and vanity come into play. Imagine, I couldn't make the cookies. She can do it, they turn out good, they're skilled, but I can't. I'm a bad person. And pride kicks in. Everyone has it. Now we will take a detailed look at how to see and diagnose it within yourself and how to work with it. Again, pride is not necessarily a bad thing. All of us, as humans, have ego at the core of our personality. Ego is our original essence. It's neither good nor bad. It's just an operating system that our personal computer, named the brain, needs in order to understand what's happening around us, to have a worldview with a system of values to understand how to move through life and to connect that understanding with the understanding of the soul and spirit. So it expresses and connects the worldview in harmony, and that is the ego. Ego is neither good nor bad. That doesn't mean when people say his ego has shown itself. Yes, everyone's ego shows itself, and that's normal. You don't need to separate, because at the moment when any polarization arises, like this is good, this is bad, the ego comes in. The basis of the ego is the ancient mechanism of how we used to. Being half monkey and half human, they tried to build a picture of the world for themselves. But why does the concept of pride and ego now require deep awareness? Because in the past it may have helped us. In the past, indeed, people weren't conscious enough until the moment the quantum shift began. And that's why those religious teachings, I'm not saying that they're all bad or terrible, it's just that they're becoming outdated. Why is it becoming outdated? Because in the past, perhaps these methods, aggressive methods, religious in a rigid, strict methods, limitations, deprivations, sufferings, at least in some way, even a little, helped a person some kind of path for themselves to outline. Because at that time, people were not conscious enough, did not have enough information and development of their consciousness to understand something else. And now we are ready. Congratulations, friends. And I will make a great effort and set myself the goal of conveying this new understanding to you. And again, it's all open, freely accessible at no cost. So don't blame me for hiding spiritual knowledge from you and wanting so much money from you. Sure thing. If someone wants to make a donation to me, they can find the links in the description. They'll find out how to thank me. I will be very grateful to everyone who does this. This is your sincere expression from the heart. But there is no need for this, because I do it only for the sake of moving forward. I am not interested in living in a world that is stuck in old stereotypes and paradigms. I'm not interested in living in a world where I would be burdened with a lot of money. Well, what next? I'm interested in living in a world where people are conscious, where people are spiritual, not like fanatics who run after a religious teacher and observe. That's the rule that Slipo and Veria told us. I want to live in a world where you can approach any person, start a conversation with them, and see how deeply they want to understand this reality. That's what matters to me, and for that I will work. Actually, that's why the Galactic Federation of Light sent me to you. And now, Oza, we are starting to understand this paradigm that you don't need to try to adjust the cookie after you've already baked it to fit the paradigm. This doesn't lead to anything good. Ego and pride come into play. Ego and pride are based on polarization and comparisons, on creating some comparative categories for oneself. Am I good or bad? This is the question a child asks themselves from the moment they become aware. Am I loved or not? Am I good or bad? Am I worthy of love or not? For example, if in childhood a child was given gifts only for New Year and birthday and not given just like that, he never formed the opinion that I am not worthy of love. I am not worthy of my parents loving me just like that. I definitely need some reason for this. Yes, some kind of holiday so that they love me on March 8th. Or, for example, you need to get sick so that they love me, because when you are sick, everyone is around you. Everyone pays attention to you. And that's why some people start getting sick, constantly sick, as if that's what it is. You know, it's a nice pleasure. And at that moment, everyone around them revolves around them. Everyone tries to help, showing attention. And this is such a hidden benefit that a person receives. And when we talk about pride, what is it really? Pride tries to hide something from us. She's trying to create a movement upward. But the movement of spiritual evolution doesn't go up or down. Because in space, what can you really consider as up or down? After all, space is infinite in all directions. There's no up or down there. Up or down is a relative concept. When you are on the surface of the earth, you have an up and a down. Up is where the head is and down is where the feet are. And that's why people develop the stereotype that they need to strive for something higher. But in reality, our soul strives to expand, not to rise. And in the past, for example, in Russia and among the Slavs, they spoke of a broad soul, a magnanimous person. This is much more accurate to the concept of spirituality, to the idea of true spirituality, not pseudo-spirituality, when we talk about the expansion of consciousness, the expansion of spirit and soul. The word magnanimity, great soul. A great soul like all-encompassing awareness. Now, we've remembered this topic of pride, and I will go deeper for you. Now I will reveal it. What does it represent on a deeper level? The thing is, each of us in past lives had past experiences, some self-identifications. We have our own understanding of ourselves as spirit, but when we are born on earth, when we incarnate, we forget who we really are. And it's very important for us to acquire this value. The society around us tries to teach us how to value ourselves. That's when you can value yourself. So if you're beautiful, then love yourself. But if you're not beautiful, don't love yourself. If you're thin, then love yourself. But if you're fat, then don't love yourself. Try to lose weight. And many people, why do people try to lose weight and then give up? It just doesn't work out. Why do people try to start going to the gym every time on Monday? Start eating right on Monday or from the new year, or I'll start right now. I'll start doing yoga on Monday. Right now I'll rest a bit, but from Monday I will. Why? Can't we be inherently harmonious? Why do we need some kind of reason? And that's because we've been conditioned to adjust ourselves to an ideal. We can adequately and objectively understand what is beneficial for each person. It's beneficial for every person to engage in sports, eat right, and have a naturally harmonious body. It's beneficial. But some people think that it's necessary, that they have to force themselves. I don't want that. And why don't they want to? Why don't they want to? Not because it's hard, but because the initial motivation is wrong. They're trying to shove baked cookies in already, into the prepared cookie mode. Give up the cookie cutter and apply it. Another way. Ask yourself, why can I find pleasure in this? Why can I enjoy yoga? Why can I enjoy foreign languages, studying them? Why can I enjoy walking? Why doing sports? Why can I enjoy my health? So, when a person is focused on their thoughts through their pride, they think in the wrong context. You might think, isn't loving yourself a form of pride? Isn't it some kind of negative manifestation? Indeed, there is the concept of self-love, and then there is the concept of narcissism. And these are completely diametrically opposed things, because narcissism is the infatuation of pride and ego with its own ego. And self-love is the love for your soul, attention to your body. They may appear similar on the outside, but in reality, they can be opposing structures. Because when a person is in love with themselves, they elevate themselves above others. One of the important characteristics of pride is the quality konda of polarization. So for her, there is always the concept of worse, better. And when a person talks about high vibration people and low vibration people, remember how I gave you the example with the orchestra. It turns out that there are those who are higher, better, and those who are lower, worse. And on an unconscious level, we think that if we're striving for that, we become better. And if we fall into that, we become worse. You can notice this when people who think they're very spiritual walk for a long time. To church, they stand there in this church, such correct, ideal, righteous people pray. They already have their ticket to heaven burning in their hands. And there they are, standing like, Lord, have mercy, Lord, have mercy. The headscarves are tied perfectly, and the skirt is of the right ideal length. A young girl walks in, maybe in jeans, or in a skirt that's too short and her hair isn't covered on her head, and immediately they throw sideways angry glances. Oh, you're not a child of God, are you? As one of my friends told me, I stopped going to church after one incident. A woman saw my earrings in church and said, "You're not a child of God because you wear earrings." Can you imagine that? So again, I'm not saying this to judge that woman, but as an example of how much pride can arise in a person when they start to consider themselves above others. So I'm striving, I'm working, I'm trying, and you others aren't doing that. So I feel better than you. In this sense, a person who starts to think they are better than others, they further distances themselves from God and spirituality than the one they are judging. Yes, yes, and he can be 1,000 times right, and his actions can be perfect. In the morning, I got up, did all the practices, prayed, read a million mantras, meditated, just like that. But if you step outside and even for a moment look at other people and think about how bad they are, low vibrational, and that you are better, not just that you are, but that you are such a good person. You see, it's about self-love. True love is unconditional. An illusion of spirituality arises when a person sets themselves apart from others and starts comparing themselves. And at that moment, and the question of whether I'm better or worse, or they're better, definitely arises. He doesn't have such a need to summarize, meaning our ego, or can't help but do that. Conclusions and conclusions. That's what pride feeds on. It simply doesn't exist without conclusions. So if a person has done something, pride rushes to check it against their inner standards. You know, pride has this little checklist of what's right and what's wrong to do. And pride scans like that. That's wrong. That's it. Let's slap that label like a sticker on his forehead. Wrong. That's it. And pride, it turns out, sticks on some labels, stereotypes, on themselves, even on a person, on a personality. And it starts thinking within those paradigms. For example, it makes a conclusion, a summary. For example, did someone drop something on your foot? Or did someone cut you off or in a car, right? Or you were walking, for example, down the street, something more relatable, right? And some person, you were driving fast, past a puddle and splashed mud all over you. What will happen? So imagine, what will happen? Just picture it. What would you see? Our lecture right now is practical, so I'm going to ask you some real life questions. Try to think to yourself right now, each of you, what you would do in that person's place. But again, don't try to be good because many of you will feel pride kicking in. Again, someone might say, oh, I would send him light and love. Well, of course, you weren't splashed just now, so you're reasoning from a different perspective. But what if you were in that moment, right? Tired with bags all like that? You're in a hurry, and you're still in a dress, or I don't know, maybe in pants, or you have new shoes, and you're heading to a birthday party, or you're going to some important meeting, and you don't even have time to stop somewhere and wipe it all off. You're rushing, and you're almost at that meeting, and then some jerk drives by, right? He immediately becomes a jerk, a fool, or whatever. And how does he splash you with mud? And it's so dirty, sticky, like this gooey, shiny little substance. You know how it is, like that. Not the kind that just wipes off easily, but the kind that just goes bam and sinks in deep, really deep. And you even slip, for example, and fall into that puddle. That's how it is. You get your whole dress, your whole butt, or your whole pants dirty, and it was also slippery, but you have to go. You can't cancel, you can't call and say, I'm not coming, you have to go in. So right now at the door, just picture that situation. How would you react? Idiot, jerk, fool, bastards, parasites. What kind of life is this? It's all just swearing and cursing. Irritation, even just basic irritation, or maybe it's not irritation for someone, but resentment, pain, crying. Suffer? Why? Why do we react? So let's ask ourselves this question, especially this idea of ours, when we start to scold that person who did this. This is the understanding of the matrix of old times. And do you want me to tell you something magical right now? What do you mean? If we ask ourselves the question, for example, how could reality actually be built in the future? So just imagine You slipped, fell, got splashed by a car, and in the end, you were late for the meeting. And it turned out that your lateness saved your life. What if, for example, there was a gas leak in this house and it exploded half of the building? Or what if you were late and a car zoomed past you? And if you hadn't slipped and hadn't gotten dirty, that car would have hit you and killed you. And you might not even realize it. You might not even guess that it's possible. At that moment, the angels were standing next to you and said, "Slip, come on." And maybe when you slipped, something inside you changed, or perhaps a man ran up to help you, and it turned out that he was your one true love. Or maybe if you hadn't slipped just now, you would... Did you arrive a little later, or did you come in dirty? And in the end, people said, "Yeah, it's okay, everything's cool." They paid attention to you, and you actually had an even better time at that meeting. And everything turned out to be completely different from what you were worried about and thought. So, you see what I'm talking about? I'm talking about 5D right now. So, what is 5D? Options for the future. And depending on how the situation is developing right now, we sometimes may not know what future options it brings. So, situations themselves are not inherently good or bad. And if, for example, at that moment you cursed, what did you do? What happened? You might say, "I lowered my vibrations because of that jerk." You'll curse him, judge him, and in that sense, you might even become more of a jerk than that person because you allowed him to ruin your day. After all, dirt is just water and dust. Pants are just pants. Nothing terrible happened because of that. Changed it, and that's it. A meeting is just a meeting. What will they think? So what? I'll say yes. I was walking, slipped, the car fell, got covered in mud, nothing serious. That happens, but at least I arrived on time. Yes, and that kind of thing happens too. We choose how to react to various circumstances. In this lies our free will, it's open. And spirituality is not about being perfect and right, because here we are faced with one mistake. I recently watched a short video online where there was this spiritual boy that I follow, and I really love, appreciate, and respect him. I don't know how old he is, probably around my age. He writes music, and I really appreciate him and watch him myself, but I saw that he talks about this thing. He says, "Have you ever noticed, friends, that when you become more enlightened, when you strive for enlightenment, when you start raising your vibrations and entering a brighter flow of life, have you noticed that at that moment negative forces and darkness seem to thicken around you as if they are trying harder and harder to influence you? It's as if evil forces somehow trying to oppose you out of spite. Have you noticed that?" I mean, he's saying that... Is that normal? That when you start shining brighter, more darkness happens around you. Let's break down why this happens. It's neither good nor bad. Again, I'm not judging him. This is one of the stages of development. Every person has gone through this stage. I have too. I've been through it. What is it born from? Again, it's from the illusory paradigm of correctness and spirituality. When you strive for perfection, and the universe says, "I'm not perfect." God says that the ideal is not the most important thing. The most important thing is harmony. And the universe starts what? To throw challenges. Challenges. That is to show a person that inside them there is not only the ideal and the light. Inside each of us there is a piece of something dark, like yin-yang. Inside each of us there is anger, fear, pride, vanity, and all the vices and qualities of a person. And becoming spiritual doesn't mean to get rid of the ego, to permanently get rid of pride. I no longer have fears. People come to my courses and we start working through fears. And I say, okay, today we're doing this practice, and there's always a certain number of people who say, "Can I skip this practice? I don't have any fears anymore." I've already worked through everything. I say, you will do it, and if there are none, then thank God they just won't manifest. And he does this practice, and then he writes to me and says, "Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine that I had so much hidden inside, that I had been ignoring my feelings, emotions, and fears for so long." It's normal to be afraid. It's normal to feel imperfect. It's okay that you can sometimes feel anger. It's all okay. What's important? What's important is that, like in a choir, like in an orchestra, each part comes in at just the right moment. Because there are situations when it's appropriate and objective. For example, anger is needed for survival. For example, you encountered an attacking bear. So a bear runs out like this. And what are you going to do? If you bare your teeth and shout at it with all your might, it will just get scared and run away. Most likely. And in this sense, your anger. He will be justified, but when a situation happens that you get into the car, it does not start, because the battery 7, there is no one to be angry at, but you will be angry at someone and angry at yourself, at people, at this car. You cursed piece of junk, you breathe, and just slam the door. So what? It doesn't care. There was this teasing rhyme in childhood, psycho, psycho on a string, sissy. That's when something rope did to him that was wrong. He threw it on the floor and started jumping on it. And even if you jump on it, the rope, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't care, it's a rope. No matter how much you jump on it, or bite it, or do whatever to it, it doesn't feel pain. The same goes for the car, you see? But it won't start. Yes, that's the reality. And right now, it's inappropriate and unreasonable to express that anger. But what I want to say to you right now is this. I want to say that the only way for the evolution of consciousness, the only way for a quantum leap is, yes, right now I can't cover the entire topic I plan to in this 2-hour lecture. I'm planning to do about 10 lectures, so I'm asking you to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of them. And maybe it's worth checking out Telegram and subscribing there, because I'll be duplicating the content. So that, again, I don't forget and don't miss. Because these 10 lectures, maybe there will be 12 or maybe 20. Let's see, how much material I can find. About new spirituality, about this new expanded understanding of what it is and why it's needed. Because if we're updating this topic, we really need to talk a lot about it and explain a lot. Today, I'm only touching on some basic points. In one of the upcoming broadcasts, I will deeply explain what it is, 5D, 6D, 7D, all these Ds, forms of energy, how the universe is structured, what laws govern the universe. So this is something very important for everyone to know. And again, I'm not going to share this so that you think that this is the only thing you should believe in, or that my way is the right way. And not so that you look at others and say, oh, they're bad and you're as good, right? Every person who broadcasts something on the internet, who tries to convey something, has their own truth, their own perspective. Everyone has some grain of usefulness, and that's perfectly fine. Look at everyone and extract only the useful things for yourself from each video you watch. Filter, and then you will be aware. We will definitely do this. We will update all this knowledge, and I will be glad that others, perhaps channels and contactees, will also gradually update this knowledge, because it comes not only to me, and I'm not the only one talking about it, many others are discussing it as well. However, like all people, many contactees, including myself, have the tendency to make mistakes and go through our own transformations and misconceptions. And thank God that we are capable of change, that we can quickly get out of this and adapt to new conditions. I'm very grateful for this. The universe. So right now we understand, we will discuss what? We will discuss this topic with you, spiritual pride and ego, in more depth. And the topic of emotions and feelings. I will do separate broadcasts on the topic of emotions and feelings and how they influence our reality, because it's profound. And now, I will tell you the main basic things. For example, let's take a situation with a car. When a person gets into a car, and gets angry that it won't start. Why is this an inadequate emotion at this moment? because in reality, a wolf is not attacking him. So anger will not be adequate for him right now. It will be more destructive. So every feeling, every emotion, you can write this down. Whether it's fear, whether it's anger, whether it's anything, yes. It's neither good nor bad, neither positive nor negative. It's a certain type of energy that is only needed at specific moments. It's similar to how it is in an orchestra. Drums don't beat all the time. Drums only beat when necessary. When the conductor signals and the drum goes thump. Only at that moment, just like that in our lives, so that we live harmoniously, so that we live evenly, so that we achieve a balance of divinity and expand our soul, gaining generosity. And in this context, rejoice. Each of you can achieve this even in this life if you truly desire it. We must first find harmony within ourselves, not perfection, not ideality, not to become better and higher than everyone else and the most right, but to be harmonious. And in this context, rejoice. Each of you can achieve this even in this life if you truly desire it. Because to achieve perfection, to achieve enlightenment, and to become a guru, it's not necessary, it's not required. So everything you wrote down at the beginning of our lecture, I have to be this way, I need to be that way, I must, I should, I need to. Just take it and cross it out, cross it out, cross it out. You don't need to change anything, that's about yourself, to achieve divinity. Just write this down for yourself, because from all directions they say you need to change yourself, you have to change, you're wrong, you're bad. And that's not true. You don't need to change yourself, because you are only, what? You think about yourself inside your ego. Your ego is the concept of who you think you are. You don't need to change yourself. You need to become yourself, because you're trying to change your ego by fitting it into certain patterns about spirituality that is imposed by other people. So, other people, it doesn't matter if they live in Bali, whether they smoke something or use some kind of magical ayahuasca and so on. It doesn't matter what they do. What is important is that spirituality is known and developed only from within, only from the heart, only from inner transformation. It cannot be understood by conforming yourself to ideals and patterns. You won't be able to achieve spiritual progress this way. You will try and you will face a lot of problems. And the more you try to become right, to become perfect, the more the surrounding reality will pressure you and show you that you're not really that right, not really that perfect to fit such events. And that's exactly it. When a person is at this stage of spiritual development, again, this does not mean that you are better, worse, bad, good. He simply creates this polarization with his own thoughts. Higher, lower, worse, better, great. And where there is polarization, balancing forces arise. So there is some force in the surrounding space, an external one that tries to bring everything back into balance. Yes? I'm touching on these topics very superficially and gently right now because it's deeper. Laws of the universe, balancing forces, managing reality, managing thoughts. I will be covering this in my deep course on the power of 5D reality management. It starts in April, registration is open, you can find the links in the description. Click the More button below the video where the title is. Then click More again and you'll see the full description and you'll find it there. All the links to the Telegram channel, to my second YouTube channel. Yes, and I have not only paid ones. Yes, there is a completely free Telegram channel. You don't have to be afraid. Feel free to go there. I'm not going to impose anything on you. There's also the second YouTube channel is dedicated to short videos and clips from broadcasts, some short channeling sessions. You can subscribe to that too. There is an open YouTube channel on yoga, quantum yoga, Paramatma. This is my new perspective on yoga. So it's not like, I invented a new yoga, look how great I am, praise me. It's a no. It's just a different perspective on yoga. And first of all, not on its physical aspect like performing exercises and asanas, but rather on the aspect that trains clarity of consciousness. So if you're interested, you can get practical guidance without having any money, without sending me any donations or funds. Just go to these channels, watch everything that's available for free, and that will be more than enough. So I'm breaking down your stereotype that you all think you need to pay money to come to you and get something from you. And there is a lot of everything available for free. And of course, I have some deep courses that simply can't be made available to everyone for free, like, for example, the power of reality management. Are there any open ones? And do you have anything to do with all this? Access? And now this new understanding. We will look at spirituality through balanced forces. When a person creates this polarization for themselves, this is good, this is bad. I strive for the ideal. Undoubtedly, it is caused by a difference in potential. What is the difference in potential in physics? It's the force that always leads to energy flowing from one place to another, because there is a difference in potential. For example, if we look at nature, wind arises when there is a difference in potential built up in the atmosphere. In one place, the air pressure is higher, and in another place, it's lower. And then what happens is that where the pressure is higher, it starts to push harder, and that's why the air flows to where the pressure is lower. And we can observe how the wind rises, how it moves. Some space, the air is moving, flying, rain can arise, a storm, lightning, or even the same lightning. There are clouds in the sky, and between the clouds and the ground, a struggle begins. So a difference in potential builds up. Here is plus, here is minus. Polarization is happening. And this polarization, it's like it gets magnetized and then lightning strikes. The same thing happens with ours. Life experience. So we live by the laws of physics. If, for example, your thoughts are focused on polarization, that is, you compare yourself to others, you compare yourself to an ideal, you compare yourself to someone else, and that's neither good nor bad. It doesn't make you worse than others. That is, again, you will now say, oh yes, I judge so often, I am so bad. Probably I am not a spiritual person, spiritual. You are all connected to God. God will not turn away from you because of this. You are all spiritual, you are all wonderful. But when you create a difference in potential, it doesn't mean that you've become bad or that you're being punished for your sins. Karma punishes. No. By considering yourself worse or better than others, you've created a difference in potential. And physics works in such a way that wherever something higher and lower exists, plus and minus, the difference in potential, that's where a lightning strike or wind can jump. And you can, to experience something in your life, a shock, some kind of blow, or a problem. And the more a person immerses themselves in this difference in potential, the more you live in the paradigm, this is good, that is bad, I am good, I am bad, the more you try to conform to ideals, to correctness, to certain stereotypes. And the more you judge those who don't do this, the more you try to elevate yourself above them. The stronger the difference in potential, and the stronger the lightning strikes that hit your face. And then people say, oh, the blows of fate, it's just a test for me, for my spirituality. Yes, I am such a spiritual person. Life causes me suffering. It's God who causes me suffering so that I can rise even higher, so that I can become even more spiritual. Oh, indeed, these ominous and dark forces are truly testing me. They come to throw me off the righteous path. But I won't give up. I will try my best to be right. I will do my best with all my silly might to follow the stupid rules that everyone must do. Otherwise, you'll burn in hell. Yes? And the more a person creates this, the more problems they have in life. And there is no evil force to blame here, no karma, and no dark entities that are attacking you. You see, it's a bit of an infantile perception of the world when a person thinks that all their life problems, illnesses, and difficulties are born from them, from someone out there. Yes, they have cursed you. Yes, it's in the family. You had problems. Clean yourselves there, work on your lineage. Yes, you have problems because someone out there, some entities have been sent. Yes, it's with you. Contracts from past lives. Now go. We will break the contracts for you there. Yes, it's in your chakras. Blocks. Now go, we will cleanse you and everything will pass. Yes, those entities have attacked you. Friends, no entities come just like that. No demons, no attachments, no forces can influence your life more than you yourself. It's very convenient and profitable to shift the blame on something external, on something else. It's them, they're the bad ones. And notice how the ego plays a game here. It doesn't want to reveal difficulties and problems because that's hard. You need to work on yourself. And all people say, yes, work on yourself. But what that really means is some kind of self-violence, a form of sadomasochism, this internal self-degradation. When a person says the phrase work on yourself, they mean to mock themselves, to abuse themselves, to inflict suffering on themselves. And with such religious, spiritual awe, I will suffer. I will take some kind of asceticism. I will torture myself and earn God's mercy. And He will have mercy on me. You're going to laugh now. So, get ready. Just imagine this picture. I used to live in these spiritual stereotypes. And when I started to have some clairvoyance, it felt really strange when I was standing there showering and angels or aliens would come to me. I ask you, aren't you ashamed? Actually, I'm naked. Then there were moments when I was sitting in the bathroom, excuse my expression, pooping. I'm sitting there pooping and angels come to me and start telling me something. I'm sitting there thinking, hey, is it okay that I'm pooping? And they say, well, what did you think? Jesus didn't go to the bathroom? So did everything just evaporate from his intestines by itself? Or where did it go? Yes, it was like that too. Why do you idealize? Why do you think that some part of you is wrong? That it's dirty or bad? Is it wrong that it's dirty or bad? It took me a long time to come to terms with this. Then there were cases when, for example, having sex. For example, if someone is having sex and thinks, what if the angels catch me in the act? And they do catch you. For example, when conception happens, the angels are present along with the child's soul during the process. And they are already filling the person with energy. And people think, oh my God, how could this happen? I had sex, so I probably lowered my vibrations. Maybe the angels won't come to me now. What can come after that? Channeling? What kind of clairvoyance can come after that? I guess it's the demons that should come with such energies or vibrations. These are low vibrations. That's something bad. But in reality, for them, it makes absolutely no difference what you are doing at all. What is the difference for angels and for aliens? Just imagine, the angels are sitting in the heavens and they say, oh, we are so good one. We are angels. And here they are, these little people, so low vibrational, so bad. Oh, I'm not going to that woman. She's over there. Yesterday, she was doing that with her man or with someone else's man. Oh, the sinner, let's not go to her. Let's not help her. She's over there praying, asking for help. But we are angels. We are high vibrational. What is that trash? She's trying to pray over there. Let her stay in her low vibrations. But doesn't it sound off though? And why might we perhaps contemplate that higher powers like angels or God love us perhaps a little bit less if we do something that seems not entirely spiritual? Do you understand what the paradigm shift in spirituality is all about? Let's dig even deeper. Imagine this. Let's dig deeper. Imagine this. There are certain actions that a person takes. For example, make some mistake in life. And so he suffers a lot, blames himself, gets angry or indignant, finds himself in what seem to be the most intense and low vibrations. And he thinks, my God, the Lord has abandoned me. God has left me. Here I am in suffering and torment. I think very poorly of everyone, and I hate them all. Maybe the higher powers don't hear me. Maybe the angels don't hear me. Maybe they won't come to me because I'm such a bad person. I'm a bad person. I don't deserve their love. And many people think like that, right? And at that moment, they just don't see that the angels, the higher forces of light, are so close to them. And with all their might, they send him love. But because he hasn't tuned into it, hasn't wanted to accept that energy, he chose to punish and blame himself. And because of that, he doesn't feel it. So, the voice of God is always with us because everything that exists in the surrounding reality is present. Different forms of God's manifestation. Divinity is when you come into an orchestra, hear the music, and it merges into harmony. God is harmony. It's not just something great, high vibrational, it's the harmony of all vibrations. And in God, there is both high vibrational and low vibrational. Therefore, the basis, the breadth of the soul is the foundation of harmony. There is no need to strive for the ideal. There is no need to try to mold yourself into something. There is no need to try to become correct, obedient, ideal. It's enough to simply return to the true understanding of what will lead you to a quantum transition. What a quantum transition is, I'll explain in more detail in the upcoming broadcasts. So now remember this question for yourself. And make sure to mark it for yourself so you don't forget to check out the upcoming broadcasts on this topic. Because there will be a lot of broadcasts. Now, a series of open broadcasts that refresh this concept. Because now the word spirituality is becoming irrelevant. So what should take the place of spirituality? What should come to a new level of relevance? What is relevant now? And now, my friends, the concept of awareness is relevant. But again, it has been so distorted. Let's break down what awareness really is. Many people think, and many don't even know what awareness is. Many people think that awareness is some kind of structure. You know, when a person says, I am very aware. And what do people usually mean by this? Under the concept of awareness, many people again mean the same thing as in religions, following rules. And people think, you won't let me lie, just write later, you understand what I want. I don't care if you write any praises in the comments after the broadcast ends. I love you, thank you. I love you very much too, thank you for that. You can say it in your mind, but you're clear. Feedback is much more important to me. Not just that you are very grateful. So specifically, what conclusions did you draw from this broadcast? What did you think about? That is, what did you understand? So please write this down. First of all, because this is the most important thing, it solidifies your results in understanding. The topic we're talking about is, when people talk about mindfulness, they usually mean, by mindfulness, their ability to orient themselves towards an ideal. That is, again, we run into the same thing when a person's awareness is a substitution of concepts, and mindfulness is understood as following rules. And a person who follows the rules, who, invented by conscious people, it is considered conscious. And a person who does not follow these rules is considered unmindful. So for example, a person might say, those who eat meat are unmindful, but we are mindful. And again, polarization is being created. But what does mindfulness actually consist of? I have met people who they control their thoughts. Everyone says that you need to control your thoughts. You shouldn't allow bad thoughts, only good ones. But in practice, it's not easy to achieve this. And there are people who have enough inner strength to achieve a high level of thought control. And they are very tense, trying to control it so that not a single thought slips through. And these people get really irritated and angry when you start asking them uncomfortable questions, which they bring their negative emotions to the surface because controlling thoughts is only half the battle. You can control your thoughts very strongly, but if you don't control your feelings and emotions, then your control over thoughts is just empty noise. Many in the old era taught precisely the control of thoughts, and now the time of the new era is coming. The age of Aquarius. An era when we realize that we are not just what we think, but also what we feel and experience. Magic and the true fulfillment of desires are only possible in one case. In that case, why don't desires get fulfilled? Just like that, they don't get fulfilled. Even if you think about it, why do you keep repeating affirmations, repeating, and they don't get fulfilled? It's not a useless activity in itself. As they say, dreaming is not harmful. Dreaming is useful, but why isn't it as effective as we'd like? Haven't you thought about the fact that the most important thing in this rule is that you need to feel in that moment? That is, our feeling, our sensation is that very energy and magic that gives us strength. Our thoughts. So, when a person has learned to control their thoughts but hasn't learned to control their feelings, and by the way, let's put the word control in quotes here. He's the one before that man. Becomes, in the face of spiritual development, is in a position where he can control his thoughts. His lifestyle can be ideal. He can get up at 6 in the morning to practice yoga for 2 hours, meditate for 3 hours, not eat, not sleep, temporary fasting, eating raw food, and not tasting a single bit of animal food at all. Doing breathing practices until you're blue in the face, or whatever. Traveling to holy places, to the most sacred gurus, praying, fasting, doing anything, but still not achieving an expansion of consciousness. Because as soon as he faces some kind of problem, there's this parable about a yogi who is sitting and meditating, a master. And here he is, almost reaching enlightenment, sitting there with just one last step left. He almost reached the very peak of meditation, almost attained samadhi. A little bird flies by and just poops on his shoulder. And he turns around like this. "Oh, you little bird, how dare you poop on my shoulder?" "Yes, I am almost godlike, and you are just a damn little bird. I will destroy you." And he opened his third eye and incinerated the little bird with his gaze. The little bird burned, and that person lost everything. Everything, his own spiritual, what he has achieved. Why? Because it is not enough to control thoughts, you need to learn to control them. Your inner feelings. But here, write the word control to yourself as control emotions. Write this phrase down exactly, write to control feelings. And now, highlight in red, write it down, cross it out, and write never. Because it's impossible. It's impossible to control thoughts. It's impossible to control emotions. You might say, well, come on, how is that even possible? But then why are we watching this? You're going to tell us something now. In fact, controlling thoughts means managing the flow of your attention. It's not just about that. Controlling thoughts is about the ability to choose which thoughts to think and which ones to let pass by. And control of feelings. Impossible because feelings are a form of energy and cannot be controlled. You can only be aware of them. When you are aware of your thoughts and feelings, you manage the moment they arise. Now imagine a flame that is burning. Try to control it, try to grab it and shape it. Some form. Yes, no, it will just flow around you in all sorts of ways. But you can change the shape of the flame if you place a nozzle from which the flame comes out. You can place nozzles, some special shapes, and the flame will come out in the shape of a flower from those nozzles. Like the injectors on a gas stove, right? That's how they burn. You don't control the flame itself, but you control the point of its origin. It's exactly the same with thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So let's go back, for example, to the car. How can we achieve awareness here? And what is this awareness? Now, write down the definition. Awareness is a clear, sober perception of your inner space, not as conforming to ideals imposed by people or society, but as the ability to be yourself, to look clearly, soberly, and consciously at your inner parts and structures. Just write it down, word for word. Non-judgmentally and without any labels, to be aware of the different energies within you and their forms of manifestation, without dividing them into positive and negative, good and bad. Because at the moment you divide things into good and bad, you're trying to fight against yourself, against some of your feelings and emotions. And in this sense, you are closing them off from yourself. So, why did this master who was sitting and meditating let a bird that pooped on his shoulder become the reason for him to ruin his experience? He ruined his progress here because somewhere inside him there was this polarization of what is good and what is bad. Well, the bird pooped and that's it. I mean, come on. A bird poops on the ground every day and the earth doesn't shake or scream, "Oh, how terrible. I'm so big and you're pooping on me." No. Why do you suddenly think that you are above God just because a little bird? Who is that God? It was God himself flying in that little bird, wanting to test how open you are to the world. He kissed you with that poop through the bird and you destroyed it. And again, this is being said in what context? In the context that it's not about this master, oh, what a bad fool, right? No. In that context, I'm telling you that he simply didn't recognize within himself. He split himself into good and bad and tried to get rid of the bad within himself through practice. Yes, this is the infamous duality. I recommend everyone to read about Advaita. Advaita is non-duality, of course, not everyone will understand it. Well, at least study and learn about reality transurfing. Because when this happens, something else happens. Inside, this anger arises, and anger is a superficial feeling. Anger is only necessary in the moment when you're defending yourself from danger, from real danger. But our brain inside, our ego, our pride, when under threat, can imply very different things. For example, I said something that doesn't align with your worldview. And you might feel anger. Some people will rush to write nasty comments saying, "Oh, Yuri, how bad you are, this and that. You're so young, you're wrong. Everything you say is completely wrong." And they'll write angry comments. And that's okay too. It's neither good nor bad. And you are neither good nor bad. You're just trying to protect your inner boundaries and trying to close off inside yourself. What is it that you are afraid of within yourself? To acknowledge. Because anger, as a form of expression, is neither good nor bad, but it masks a deeper feeling. Which one? Well, for example, I couldn't start the car, and I started to get angry and frustrated. Is it bad or good? I would tell myself, "Oh, how bad I am, that's it, I won't host any more broadcasts. That's it, I'm not spiritual anymore. I allowed myself to get angry." Or what did I do? I told myself, "Oh, anger, how interesting. Now I will explore what this is. Why does anger arise in me? Why does this situation irritate me?" So I will start asking myself deep questions. And where does the root of this anger lie? What feeling? It arises before anger, before hysteria, before any problems. And here comes the answer. Even before the hysteria, even before the problems, one simple feeling arose. Helplessness, Weakness, inability to change anything. So people say how to stop anger in the heat of the moment. You need to interrupt it, the emotions of surprise. Oh, anger, how interesting. At that moment, you disidentify from the anger and shift your focus not on the anger itself, but on its cause, like I did. And you realize the choice. So, to stop anger in the moment, you need to realize what you can do right now. I can take the mouse right now and smash it against the floor out of anger. I can hit someone. I can take and bang my head against the table, just like that. What else can I do? List all the options for action for yourself. And list some more options for actions for yourself. But what if it's not that important? But what if I don't get angry right now? I don't throw a tantrum, but just I look at the root cause of my anger. So what inside me triggered this anger? With interest, right? What if I perceive this anger not as something bad that needs to be gotten rid of, something that needs to be blocked, but as a kind of red button that, like a siren, lights up to signal a problem. Problem detected, problem detected. Attention, attention. Where do you need to look? And at that moment, you will no longer hit anything. You will not hit a person. You won't bang your head against the table out of anger. You'll already understand that. That moment has passed. You've breathed through it, the anger has passed, and now you can study it, dissect it. And when you start to dissect it, you discover that anger covers up other emotions that arose before it. Before anger arises, most people typically feel a sense of helplessness. Because the feeling of helplessness is like when you are attacked. Bare, and this has never happened before in your life. Yes, this is the first time, and you are helpless. You don't know what to do. And in that moment, anger, to scream at it. And it got scared and ran away. It worked, right? So anger is some kind of instinct, a reaction to the feeling of helplessness. But it's not always appropriate, not in every situation. Yes, sometimes you need to protect yourself, sometimes you need to defend your boundaries, and sometimes you need to respond to someone harshly. And that's okay too. It's neither bad nor good. It doesn't define you as a spiritual or unspiritual person. But what's important is not the manifestation itself, but how you are able to recognize it. Because you shouldn't control your emotions. You shouldn't try to suppress them inside. That always leads to problems. You need to be aware of your emotions from within. And this is exactly what we are approaching in the new era. This is what we are coming to in the concept of spirituality. Now I'm going to give you a tool for spirituality that you can touch with your hands. It's something physical, something you can feel, and something that is always with you. It's magical. Take your hands now, you're going to touch this. Just lift it up, I'm not joking. Right now I'm going to let you touch it, I'll tell you where it is. Right now, at this moment, you will touch with your hands what is the quickest and most efficient way for you to develop spiritually. The easiest way. That place where all the secrets of spirituality are hidden and where the guru, teacher resides, your true original teacher. And now take a moment to touch your heart. To yourself. Touch it. And now discover that the only way to achieve the expansion of the soul, of spirituality, is you. You are with yourself. And this is the only person through whom you can know the world. Everything that happens around you, the whole world exists for you. Nothing happens just like that. All people, all space, the whole world, it simply mirrors you according to certain laws. Physics. Of course, we will delve into these laws in more detail in future lectures. Today, I just touched on this topic. But the answer, to all questions, is not with me. Not with some righteous people, not in smart books, not in long practices where you have to tilt your tongue to choke on it. not in some roots of trees that you have to chew to fly in hallucinations, not in mushrooms that you need to eat to know God, but right here. Here is the gate to paradise. Right here. Here is the gate to the fifth dimension. Quantum transition. Don't wait for something to fall on you from the sky. It will come now. When will it be? When will it be? That's when he comes. Then we will all be uplifted. Then we will live happily. But right now, while we are suffering, yes, that's not true. When the quantum transition comes, everything you've hidden in your skeletons in the closet, all your dark attics where you've stashed your emotions, they will crumble. And a huge avalanche of your feelings, emotions that you block within yourself, will flood into your consciousness in an unstoppable stream. And many people will feel like they're going crazy because emotions are overwhelming. They already thought that they were so enlightened, so spiritual. They worked through everything, no fears, nothing at all, and then suddenly it all just came crashing down on them. All fears, all feelings, all emotions, all anger, everything out, and people will think, yes, what kind of quantum transition is this? I feel so bad, so terrible. So that it doesn't feel bad and terrible. To go through this process of quantum transition and understand it, you need to realize that the quantum transition doesn't happen as if some higher powers are choosing you, deciding who should transition and who shouldn't. They will separate you, they will take from you, they will move your souls here or there. They will see if you are spiritual, highly vibrational, or in 5D, not in 5D, and they will transfer you here or not there. No. The only way to realize yourself as a 5-dimensional entity, as 5D, no. The only way to the quantum transition is through your heart, through your internal paradigms of problems, through your internal obstacles, through your pride. Do not fight it, do not struggle, do not try to get rid of it, but love yourself. Love your pride, transform it, learn to transform your anger, learn to work with your fear, heal it. Not through the mindset of, I need to work through this, work through that, I'm all bad, unprocessed, I'll keep working on it. Yes, you can work on it until you're blue in the face, even until you're exhausted from it. You won't be able to improve anything there. There will still be a problem. So it's not about diving into all that processing, working through it. It's about turning to yourself in your life right now and taking responsibility for your life. No one else is to blame for your evolution, for your path of development. You can never. Just wait for some heavenly manna. The Pleiadians on the mountain will whistle, but wait until you work inside to see in yourself. Perfection. You don't need to strive for it, you don't need to achieve it, you need to awaken it within yourself, as that is what it truly is. You. Your original, immortal, eternal essence is the perfection of God. Perfection is not about having vibrations that are higher than all others, but rather about harmony. Because when you're in harmony, you don't have to speak. I'm singing in a choir and we're in harmony. No one has to speak. Oh, altos. They're not needed at all. No one has any problems because everything is in harmony and all parties love and value each other. So, if you have a lot of questions for me after this lecture, you can ask them in the description below, in the comments, or in the Telegram channel. I'm collecting your questions. Then I record voice responses on the second channel. Sometimes my voice answers are also published, and we create content around them. The visuals turn out to be very beautiful. If you have any questions right now, I'm ready to answer them. On Fresh Tracks. So you see, friends, my main task here on this YouTube channel, and the reason I exist here, is to share information, not to, to tell you all sorts of shocking news from aliens. It's wonderful, it's interesting, it develops you, it's useful, but it's not the main thing. That's not my main task. My main task is to be continued, to work within the context of the teaching system, that is to share what I receive, to share what I know, to pass on this knowledge. And I can never say that this is mine, that it belongs to me, that these are my knowledge, and that others are bad because they don't know or understand it. And I can never say that this is mine, it belongs to me, this is my knowledge, others are bad because they don't know it, they don't understand it. All this knowledge that I transmit it not as some kind of great guru, the only one who has seen and understood it. I share this as a teacher. And a teacher is someone who simply adopts experience, collects it, adapts it, and presents it in understandable language. That's it. I don't need worship. I'm not a guru. I'm not a master. I don't need to be idolized. Just take some benefit for yourself from what I'm saying. And you take it in yourself, not just on faith, but on knowledge. Only what you are able to understand and realize from my words. Watch the broadcast several times. Think about them. Look closely. Read carefully. Share the broadcasts with others. Because it's very important for this information to reach people. Because YouTube is currently experiencing issues, and sometimes there won't always be a video. It's recommended to people. So your activity is very important. How are you doing with music? You know, I'm currently learning how to create music using various instruments. I have an instrument like a piano, a cosmic one for creating cosmic music. I'll definitely play it for you when I learn it. Right now, I sometimes sing, but mostly I have music. When I play the singing bowls, I have singing bowls, and there's also a gong at the retreat. When people come to the retreat now, they will hear it. I play there, doing sound healing. When you play the singing bowls, you sing. At the same time, transmitting some mantras, transmitting some vibrations and the gong. I absolutely love the gong, it's just magnificent. You eat meat. I eat fish. I gave up chicken. Any kind of meat. But again, not because you have to strive for spirituality, that it's wrong. You see, when changes happen inside a person, then the external reality itself changes. So my body itself said, I don't need chicken. Meat anymore, that's it. I don't want this anymore. That's it. My vibrations changed, the characteristics changed, and I stopped eating. Not because I forced myself, not because I tortured myself, not because I was trying to give it up on purpose, just because someone said it was the right thing to do. I always focus on myself. First of all, don't care about who says what or what's considered right. I can listen to how it's said, take it in, but I make my own conclusions. And I also advise all of you to do this. Listen, take it in or make your own conclusions. How to calm yourself. After a burst of anger, I feel guilty and can't recover. This feeling of guilt is very important because you think that you're bad and you don't allow yourself to feel that anger. You don't actually become that. Whether it's bad or good, you need to look at the deeper reason for this anger, where it came from. Legalize it, give it a place to be, say, yes, that was anger. Look, ask yourself the question, what is the cause of this anger? If its cause is helplessness, then tell yourself, for example, I acknowledge the difference between my safety, between my ability to impact the world, and the feeling of helplessness. So acknowledge that there is a difference between this. Just because the car didn't start in this particular situation, it doesn't mean you're worthless or a loser. Because in the brain, neurons might have gotten mixed up when you were scolded as a child for making mistakes, when you were scolded for not bringing home an A but a C, when you were scolded for not cleaning up after yourself or something like that. So inside you, it got connected that if you made a mistake somewhere, then you're bad. And that difference doesn't exist. So a problem happened, and you automatically feel bad about yourself. That's pride. That's how it works. You might think, well, isn't pride when I feel good about myself? No. Pride works in all directions. And when you feel bad about yourself, that's also pride. When you feel guilty, that's also a form of pride. So you feel guilty, and do you have it somewhere? This is the internal connection between your action, your expression of emotion, and the fact that it is bad. When you acknowledge, you'll say, I recognize that my emotions are valuable and important. It's neither good nor bad. The connection was broken just like that. I acknowledge that there is a difference between getting angry once and being a terrible and bad person. So, just because I made a mistake or got angry once, it doesn't automatically mean that I'm a bad person. And here's the next question. Where do diseases come from? That's where illnesses come from. What if you keep your emotions, feelings in the closet, block them in a negative form? So your body inside, it starts to break down because every organ in our body performing a certain function is somehow similar to some psychological processes. So each of our organs reflects a certain structure of our consciousness. And when you block some emotion or feeling, considering it bad, the flow of energy in that organ gets disrupted. The movement of nerve impulses is disturbed and it starts to suffer, which then leads to illness. And through illness, the body is trying to tell us, wake up, I'm not well. Pay attention to me. And the problem is that if a person tries to treat the illness as just a manifestation, symptomatically, they don't understand where the illness actually comes from in the first place. From suppressed feelings and emotions. This certainly doesn't mean that all medicine is wrong, that doctors are wrong, or that you shouldn't go to doctors. Of course, it's necessary. Of course, medication is important. I support treatment, supportive therapy, preventive, symptomatic. But it's important, first and foremost, to be aware of the root cause so that it doesn't come back. Yuri, you say that feedback is important, but you get triggered when the feedback, not delighted, but if, God forbid, there's criticism, it really gets to you. First of all, I'm curious, what made you come to that conclusion? Can you really get into my head and find out what triggers me, what affects me, and what doesn't? But to be honest, criticism used to trigger me a lot at certain moments. Why? Because criticism is actually one of the signs that a person is criticizing themselves. He adjusts himself so much to certain ideals that he tries with all his might to impose on everyone around him that they are wrong. And, of course, there was a time when I looked at criticism and it hurt me because I had this connection formed, right? That there's a feeling, the feeling that you have to be perfect, you have to be right, and someone else isn't quite right. And when someone hints that, hey, you're not perfect either, you have this closet inside you that you're afraid to open, then criticism reminds you of that, or closet. Look, there's the closet and it hurts there. There is pain, and that closet and the pain turn into, a series of sufferings. I went through that. It was painful. It was painful to look inside that closet. But when I opened it, I realized and understood that it doesn't trigger me anymore. It doesn't bother me anymore because I realized there is a difference between people expressing their thoughts in the comments. Someone may not have understood what I said. Someone understood it their own way. And for some, feelings and emotions arose, leading to rejection and aggression. Someone expressed something negative. And that's also valid. And that's okay too. That's their opinion at their level of awareness. It's neither good nor bad. And I accept all these opinions. I don't know why you said that it triggers me. Maybe it's because I often respond to such critical comments. Sometimes I can laugh and joke about what someone wrote, but it happens. Because first and foremost, I explore and study. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Where someone didn't understand me or misunderstood me. And I'm curious to understand how these people think, so that next time when I explain something in a lecture, I can present it in a way that everyone understands, including them. People who are really afraid of criticism, and just close the comments or delete everything. But of course, if a person writes outright insults, which include obscene words, they will, in any case, they will automatically be removed by YouTube. So here, that's the platform's policy. Autoimmune. What's the root cause? Friends, I can break down many root causes, but we'll do a separate broadcast on that topic. What do you think about the holiday? March 8th? Look, watch this video first. Or go to my Telegram channel. I wrote there. Strong immunity. These are high vibrations. Strong immunity, it's not about vibrations, but strong immunity. It's a combination of many factors, including nutrition and vitamins. Yes, but first of all, if we look at it from the perspective of consciousness, it's strong immunity. It's about harmony inside, about the harmony of the external and internal, that is, the boundaries of the inner boundaries when you can. Getting rid of something destructive and accepting something constructive can create such immunity. Swear words from others trigger me. Do you want me to swear right now to trigger you too? Especially from children. I'm trying to understand why this might be at the root of this reaction. When you were little as a child, didn't you swear? Kids swear from a very young age. So what? Swear words, I mean, you've somehow convinced yourself that this is good and that is bad. This is right, this is wrong. That's how you were taught. Why does it irritate you? Because you've closed off some emotions inside yourself again. And when someone speaks like that, you measure them by your own standards. You judge them by your own standards. And it irritates you that you can't allow yourself something, but they can. And they live like that. And you think of yourself as better than them. Pride kicks in, along with the desire to reshape them according to your own standards, to impose on them that they are wrong. And who decided that swear words are swear words? In some languages, words that are swear words in Russian mean something completely different. For example, in Spanish, there's the word carpenter. And it sounds something like this. Carpenter. This is a carpenter. And a carpentry workshop where wood is processed is called ebenisteria. But I'm exaggerating, of course. Maybe it sounds interesting and funny to you. But for any other person, for a foreigner, there won't be anything strange about it. There's an experiment about the influence of swearing on water. Its structure changes, doesn't it? You know, if we take swearing that's loaded into a computer and played back with a synthetic voice. Synthetic, so that a robot reads the swear words, not a human. Then there won't be any influence. Because swearing is just words. A person pronounces them. And a person puts energy into words. So it's not the words themselves that influence the water, but the energy that a person puts into those words. Words are just a means of communication. But whatever energy you put into them, that's what they'll contain. That's it. Which branch of psychology reveals the reasons for problems, hidden emotions? Well, I think one of the most fundamental is psychosomatics. Which authors would you recommend? I can't remember any specific authors right now. There's psychosomatics, the so-called New German medicine. She has ancestors there, I can't remember now. But I highly recommend getting acquainted with it in general. Psychosomatics and NLP. NLP is a modern approach to psychology, a deep one that can help you realize a lot. So, friends, I'm going to wrap up today's broadcast. I'm waiting for everyone in the Telegram channel so you can subscribe there and grab your gift. It's all free, everything is available to the public. Here's a QR code for you. If you can't find the link, you can take a photo of it, scan it, and get to my Telegram channel. Thank you all. If anyone wants to send donations, please, there's a link in the description. I sincerely thank you for your support. I exist and live only thanks to your donations. It's only thanks to them that I make such videos. And your donations motivate me to make more videos like this. I see that because you do this regularly. I see that this is valuable and important to you, and you want more of this information. I really thank you for that. And thank you for joining the Telegram channel. The Telegram channel is my sincere creativity, where I happily share with all of you everything that comes to me, all my revelations, all the information. That's all I have for today. Please stay tuned for the next broadcasts. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you get notified. Otherwise, YouTube doesn't always show it. And we'll meet again. Until next time.